Hello, Mother Carr.
Hi.
How
How
are
you
you?
doing, Mr. McGuire?
Just call me Ray, please, Mother.
Okay. Hi, Ray. It's an honor that you would come to see the sacred space where my son was murdered and where my family come to get some serenity or some answers.
But you come and you see this, and you see everything that you have endured. And this is going to be, it's not easy, but I so appreciate you. I so appreciate what we're doing and celebrating his life.
Whenever you do wrong, whoever you are, you should be held accountable, whether you wear blue jeans or a blue uniform.
It's so
Yes,
tough for
it
our boys
is.
out here.
It really
Boys
is.
and girls, but black and brown kids, but
Yeah.
all kids
Oh,
now.
that's true.
All kids are struggling, so we got to step up, which is why I'm doing this. I don't know that you fully appreciate what you mean to so many of us. You have taken what has to be one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult, moments you've ever faced, and you have taken and turned that into activism for those people who don't have a voice.
Oh,
And
thank you so much for that. But I feel like we have to give a voice to those who don't have a voice. We have to give a face to the faceless. And I just think that it would be an honor for you to be the mayor of New York because I think that you would know how to get things done. I think that you would be the best man for the job. And I do endorse you.
thank you for your endorsement. I'm so deeply appreciative. New York is appreciative. New York, we've lived with fear for far too long, and it feels like it's getting worse. We can't let it get the better of us. Before another tragedy strikes, let's build a New York that is not only safe, but also just for every person in every community. Where a 6'4", 200-pound black man like me doesn't have to fear illegal guns or police misconduct. I'm running for mayor to build that safe and just New York where police face real accountability. A safe and just New York will focus policing on crimes that harm communities most. We'll stop locking so many people up when we should be lifting people up and preventing crime before it happens. We'll take the money we save and work harder on getting illegal guns off of our streets. A safe and just New York will make criminal justice a last resort, not a first response. We'll create a new emergency response system so that a mental health worker can get to a crisis as fast as the NYPD. In a safe and just New York, the police will treat citizens equally and respectfully. No more senseless deaths like Eric Garner's. A safe and just New York starts and ends with accountability. If a police officer commits a serious violation, we'll hold commanding officers responsible too. We'll investigate and act on citizens' complaints, and we will end qualified immunity. And ultimately, as mayor, I will take responsibility. So join me, and together let's build a city that is safe and just for all New Yorkers.
Hey, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Friday's One-on-One with Ray, our weekly space to talk and engage with you, our volunteers, our supporters, and bring our candidate, Ray McGuire, to the stage to talk one-on-one with you and to answer your questions and talk about our week as a campaign. I'm L. Joy Williams. I'm a senior advisor here on Team Ray on the campaign to make Ray McGuire our next mayor. And I'll be serving as your host for this evening as we guide through this conversation together. Now, I know happy hour, according to our bars and restaurants, is officially over. They've probably cut you off by now. However, I still got a little something in my cup, and we'll see what Ray has in his cup when he comes to the video. But I wanted to give a recap of the week, the past week we just had on the campaign. Last weekend, Ray was in the borough of Brooklyn. Hey, Brooklyn. And he was out in the streets shoveling snow, which I'm sure having a mayor be out in the street shoveling snow will be great. Visiting small businesses and talking about his plan to bring the biggest economic comeback in our city. This week, he also hit the Zoom candidate circuit. Because, you know, we have about 5 of them every night. And he launched his plan for public safety. In addition to that, he also participated in the virtual Boys Club of New York luncheon. And we have a short clip that I want to share with you about that visit he did a couple of weeks ago.
Do not let your world be confined. I didn't have any money, it was all on scholarship. All on scholarship. My mom didn't have the money to put me through school. She sacrificed so I get the basics, but she couldn't put me through school. The most important thing, you gotta get educated. I didn't have a plan B. I didn't have no education until the world did. You were young black men. Young black and brown men. You gotta be on top of your game all the time. Boys Club will change your life. Remember, championships are won when nobody's looking. What I mean by that, you go through any one of your top, any one of them, and they in the gym when nobody's looking. They put in the work. Same thing with academics. I come from the block, so I'm telling you, this is how it works. You don't get an education, you always be beholden to somebody. But people gotta think about this, and we've been out of the room so long that they want us to feel good when they give us crumbs. I want to be clear, I'm not interested in crumbs. Matter of fact, I'm not so interested in the cake. I'm interested in your one of the babies. And so education is going to open up your eyes and you can see the world possibility. That's what this is about.
So let's bring on the man with the plan and the experience to lead this city. Hey, Ray.
What's happening, L. Joy? I see you got a little cocktail here. You said happy hour's over. You got a little something in your cup? Well, I don't know. I got a little bit here. I got a little bit here. And I don't know what I got here, but I'm working with something.
You got a little bit of something. A little bit of something.
I'm working with something. I don't know. It's a weekend. I've been Zooming all week, all day long. I'm trying to say it's Friday night, y'all, and I can't tell you I'm lit, but I can tell you I'm a little better than I was a half hour ago. So I'm all in. I'm all in. It's been a great week. So what we got, L. Joy? How you living?
I'm living great. You keeping us out here, working hard. As you mentioned, you've been Zooming all over the place, and certainly I see a number of people commenting about this on social media. They're talking about the number of Zooms. I think you had one that was 4 in one particular night. I know you appreciate and like the ability to talk directly to voters, not only as you are socially distancing outside and talking to voters, but then also participating in forums. You don't like that, how many of them, but you do like talking to people about your plan for the city.
Well, listen, I like talking to people about my plan, but I like being out with the people. As you said, I was in Brooklyn. My first stop was a church, Reverend Adolphus Lacey, which is an extraordinary experience, great church. I grew up in the church, so the church is home for me. So I was in church, and then I walked, and it was actually an inspiring experience to walk Tompkins Avenue and see all the brown and black-owned businesses and see the whole thing just thriving. And that was extraordinary. And the day before, I was at the Gentleman's Factory and saw a lot of promising young black and brown men. And so I've been out, obviously strict COVID protocol. So I got at least 1 or 2 N95 masks. So I'm good with that, but it's good to be out. So I feel much better when I can go out and talk and interact with people, let them know I care, let them know I know what's going on, and, tell them a little about who I am and what I've done and the vision I have for this city. The response has been, it's been great. I feel good about this. I like James Brown say, I feel good.
Wonderful. So now I do have, something to bring up. One of the forums that you did, Follow Black Women this week. And one of the lightning round questions was, what, Aretha Franklin or Patti LaBelle? And you did who?
I really wouldn't put Patti LaBelle in that question. I think that's just probably not the right thing to do. I know you probably doing, all of this stuff for Patti LaBelle, but I think this is not even a contest. I don't even think
No.
anybody on this. I don't even know who thought the question up.
Well, and then you called me afterwards to say that, there's no contest between Aretha and Patty. Now they are both. I think it was unfair, but because Patty has her own, her own lane, and then Aretha has her own lane. But you are hands down Aretha. No.
I don't even think about Aretha got the whole highway. Patti LaBelle going the opposite direction. No, I wouldn't even put that. No, Aretha got the whole HOV lane plus. She got all 4 lanes. She got the slow lane. She got the second lane. She got the middle lane. And then when she going, then she get warmed up. No, no
Oh my goodness.
Ain't got that range. Maybe Whitney Houston got a little bit of that range. She can go deep, but Aretha, no. Ain't no contest, no contender. Don't even think about that. I better think about somebody else.
Okay.
No, that's a different conversation. Aretha versus no. I mean, I do respect Patty, but no, Aretha, no.
Well, then maybe I think maybe a fun activity would just be for all of the candidates to do a Zoom candidates forum just on music taste of the city. I think that'd be a great breakaway from all of you being on a Zoom together and all of the forums. Maybe just do one on music taste, and then we can determine whether or not we want a mayor that has bad music taste. Not you, because so far you're doing good.
They listen. I hope all of them know who Patti LaBelle and Aretha are. I think you may be stretching some of them out now. Now the thing you got to do, Eljo, is give me your top 5.
Oh no. Okay, so now I will move the conversation.
You got to put Nina Simone in there. You got to put Nina Simone in there somewhere. Well, and you got to get Mary J in there. So it's good. The list gonna get short quick, like. But Aretha's at the top of that.
Definitely Aretha's at the top. I want to shift gears because I'm sure our team members are texting both of us about moving on to what we need to talk about tonight.
It's Friday night, Eljoy. Where do you want to go?
All right. Well, one of the big things that happened this week is the release of your plan for the city on justice and public safety. Now, the conversations that we had, internally, our policy team, and shout out to our policy team for helping to put on paper what came from you, your ideas, your focus on how, as the leader of this city, you want to make sure to keep New York City safe as you are leading us out of this crisis. So I want you to talk to us a bit similar to how you talk to us in putting your plan on paper, and give us your perspective on what's included in the plan, but more importantly, why you think this is so important and critical during your campaign.
So, I'm going to pause here a second. And let me go on a little bit on the serious tip. We saw this week, apart from all the things that we experienced that were so positive and so uplifting and resonated so much in terms of how we're engaging with the people and just getting the message out there. We also witnessed Rigoberto Lopez, who allegedly killed 2 people on the subway. And, he'd been hospitalized for mental illness and had 4 prior arrests for drug possession, as well as some violent crimes. And as a result of the subway attacks, we increased the police force in the subway by 500 officers. 500 officers. That's mental illness that has gone, perhaps it's gone checked, but it's gone unchecked for these purposes, and lives lost. That's what we saw on one extreme. On the other extreme, and I do not know all the facts here, Eljoy, so I stand to be corrected. Let me be clear about that. We saw Alex Lowry recorded on cell phone being held by 3 NYPD officers while a 4th punched him in the face. Now, I say I don't know all the facts, but I did look at the video, and that's another extreme. And so the plan that we've outlined is one that begins to address this with a sense of urgency. And what's behind this? The safety and justice. Safety is something that every New Yorker should feel. Right now, people are feeling that we're living in a fear of violence and criminal activity. We saw in 2020 almost 100% increase in shootings and almost a 45 to 50% increase in murders. And for way too long, and we've documented this, communities of color have lived with additional fear of racist and overly aggressive policing. We fear that. And so that trust that once existed has been breached, and this plan attempts to do just that, to bring it together and to bridge that. We can't afford to wait for solutions to these issues. They've been around for far too long, and unless we do something today, they'll continue to haunt us. Where police response is needed and appropriate, we need to deploy the police immediately. And where the response is not needed, we need to deploy the mental health people and the social services. But those all need to be deployed immediately. The sense of urgency needs to be now. And so what have we outlined here? It is a sense of urgency associated with this. It first starts with accountability. I will end the cycle of buck passing, and I'm going to hold myself singularly responsible and accountable for the actions of the NYPD and the public safety of this city. My accountability. I want to elevate the public safety to become the top priority through the creation of a new position that allows me to have hands-on management through the creation of a deputy mayor for public safety. Not only do I want to hold officers accountable for misconduct, but as they do in military, as they do in what's necessary for the peacekeeping and the safety, I want to hold the entire chain of command as well accountable for the misconduct. We have too many serial misconduct or too many serial misbehaviors. We need to hold them accountable. And then I want to restructure public safety to combat the serious crime. We need to increase the number of officers dedicated to gun crimes. I want to focus on enhanced community policing efforts in what we know historically, year in and year out, to be the 10 precincts that are suffering from the highest incidence of violent crimes. And then I want to make sure that we focus on community-based interventions in the same neighborhoods. And I want to create a citywide system of what I call ESS, Emergency Social Services, 24 hours a day. And they're going to respond to all 911 calls that relate to mental health or substance abuse. So that is accountability, restructuring public safety to combat serious crimes. And then I want to instill a culture of what I call RAP. I want the NYP to be respectful, accountable, and proportionate. It's been said that on proportionality, that if the only thing that you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When it comes to Black and brown communities, it's often a sledgehammer. So we need to respond to each situation with a proportionate response. We need to hold our police accountable, and we need to restore the respect. I want to increase funding and staffing for the Civilian Complaint Review Board, meaning that I want to ensure that they have the access to the disciplinary records, the body camera footage, and other evidence that's going to allow them to expand and accelerate the investigations of misconduct. And what I'm going to do as part of this is I'm going to reduce the amount of time it takes for the CCRB to receive body camera footage from 47 days to 48 hours. So, Eldroy, that gives you a sense of how serious I've taken this. I want to make certain that it gets to that level of urgency that is required. It can't be with the span of 2 weeks that we see these two extremes. And those extremes are having such a debilitating impact on how we live and how we feel safe in the city. And the disconnect between the citizens and the police, we need to stop this. We need to stop it now. A lot of folks talking about it, but they're not being about it. We need to do something with it today. And that's where we come out with the safety and justice plan.
Ray, thank you very much for giving us an outline of what the plan includes. And you can, those of you who are watching, you can go to the website, rayformayor.com, and you can download the full plan and read it in detail. It includes a lot more information in it. But I wanted to, again, on Friday nights, to sort of bring in people, voters, New Yorkers, to come in and talk to you about some of the aspects of your plans and what you will do for the city. And the first person I want to bring into our conversation is, full disclosure, is a supporter. Someone
we welcome supporters. We do welcome supporters.
So Carissa, hello, Carissa. Thank you so much for
Hi,
joining us. Oh, you're muted. Let's get you on.
Unmute, Carissa. We need to hear you.
How are
Yeah.
you? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday,
Hey, happy
Carissa.
Friday.
Thank you. Great to see you,
So-
Ray. Nice to meet you, Eljoy.
Nice to meet you too. So, Carissa, I know that you specifically had a question about Ray's frame of this plan, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk a bit about this. So I'll let you go on, Carissa.
Thank you so much. And Ray, thank you so much for outlining your proposals and approach to policy reform as it pertains to criminal justice. I wanted to dive a little bit deeper and understand how you view criminalization and what is classified as criminalization and who is often deemed a criminal. I feel like it's a disproportionate rate when you look like me or yourself. And so how do you plan on addressing those factors? And then secondly, your overall plan as mayor or proposed mayor, how you're going to address sort of the links, the underlying factors that contribute to the rates in crime, whether that's mental health issues and poverty and opportunity. Thank you.
We have for years done what we suggested that we wouldn't do, and that is to criminalize poverty. And today we've done just that. We have the situation of Mr. Lopez, who has been obviously challenged for a while without the appropriate support. We see so many instances of where those who are the least of the are put in harm's way without the proper support. And so one of the things that we have to do is to make sure that we intervene more quickly. And the emergency services that I've talked about is intended to do just that, so that you have people who understand the situation. It's not to say that NYP doesn't understand this situation. It's just that the others who are trained, who are professionals, who will go in and even in the most difficult situations, treat them with humanity. We need to stop criminalizing those who are the most marginalized of us, and we need to stop helping them. We need to start helping them. Stop criminalizing, start helping, give the support, assess the challenges that they're experiencing, and get them help for those challenges. We clearly have the moral and legal obligation for shelter, but we also should take on the obligation to help. And that is to help those who don't have a job, which is why I have a job program that's intended to do that. Remember, if you got no jobs, you got no dignity. And so we need to make certain that those who are capable of working have jobs, and those who are capable of working who don't have the training that's necessary, the apprenticeships that are necessary, we need to invest in that. And those who are incapable of working, but still are amongst us, even though their challenges are greater, we need to give them some dignity and treat them humanely and stop criminalizing the least of thee, which is clearly what's taking place. And that's what we've attempted to do, not only in our jobs plan, but that's also what we're attempting to do here in our safety and justice plan. Safety and justice means that we all need to recognize that we're in this together, and we're all judged by the least of thee and how we treat the least of thee. And that's why we need to restore dignity and humanity and stop criminalizing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Carissa, for your question and for your support. And you're going to have an opportunity, I think, tomorrow you're hosting some more people to talk more one-on-one with Ray. Is that correct?
Exactly. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time.
I'm all in.
Well,
is it virtual or is it Zoom?
It's Zoom.
Okay, I'm just getting ready to get my Zoom icon on, so I'm good.
I'm sorry to add another one.
But I'm good with you guys. Just bring it on. I welcome all questions.
Perfect.
I welcome the question from the supporters and the would-be supporters.
I got
And
my
the haters who want to be supporters, I welcome those questions too. So bring them on.
I was very happy that I got some Republicans to register as Democrats. So
We want all of them. We want everybody who's interested in having the best New York possible. We want them registered. We want them to contribute. We want them to participate. We want them to recognize the promise of the future, which rests in our hands. That's what we want to have happen.
Precisely. So with great pleasure to support you, and I look forward to all that's ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time, especially on a Friday night. That's kind of like, all right.
I got to catch up with you all.
All right.
I got to figure out which cup I'm drinking from after that one.
Which cup you're drinking from? Which
Don't,
one are you drinking?
don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay, Joy.
Oh,
I'm gonna get myself through this.
I won't show you. I won't show y'all the bottle that I showed Ray earlier.
Oh no, no, 'cause most of it is not in there, Joy. The cap wasn't broken
But
when you showed me to the first time.
oh my goodness. Well, I want to continue the conversation that we started talking about justice and safety here in New York, and we have another person to bring on to our conversation. Again, if you want to download and read the full plan, it's rayformayor.com/safety. You can not only read the justice and public safety plan, but there's another plan there too. There is a plan for the greatest economic comeback for New York City. That is also on the website. So go to rayformayor.com. And if you are interested in donating, supporting, volunteering, holding your own meet and greet Zoom to talk to voters with Ray, you can do that at rayformayor.com. That was my brief commercial. How'd you like that?
Now, Eljoy, let me just one edit. It's the greatest, most inclusive economic comeback.
That's why you're the candidate.
We need to make sure that people who've been excluded, we need to include them. And remember, as I said to those people at the Boys Club, we've been out for so long, they give us crumbs and they want us to feel good. I'm not interested in the crumbs. Matter of fact, I'm not interested in the cake. I'm interested in us owning the bakery. That's what this is all about.
I think that's the perfect segue to bring in our next guest, Kevin from 100 Suits. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Salute, Ray. Thank you for what you're doing, brother.
Kevin, you look good, man. Look at you sitting there.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I wish I could share.
You got the jacket working, man. This is all right. I ain't mad at you, man. You got the Anna Wintour glasses working on Friday night. Come on, man. Get it done.
Well, Kevin, I wanted to give an opportunity for you, in your own words, to share the work that you are doing with 100 Suits. And I know you wanted to talk directly with Ray about what your program is doing, and Ray to talk about how he believes in investing in community programs like yours.
Well, first, thank you. But let me just say this here. I want to thank you for your safety and justice plan. One thing that really caught me, that really hit me in my soul, is that your mental health, the ESS unit coming to respond with the NYPD. As you know, Jamaica, Southeast Queens, we are like a hub of mental health houses, family shelters. We have a ton of them in our community. And, you know, to see that coming to fold, where you'll have somebody in that trained profession come along with the NYPD to de-escalate some of these situations, will be really a game changer. I mean, literally, I could see that happening in my own community right now, police and mental health coming to a certain area and addressing that. So I really thank you for addressing that in the manner that you're doing it. So I want to say thank you for that one.
100%. Thank you.
About 100 Suits. What we have 2 locations in New York City. We provide business attire to men and women coming home from incarceration. But on top of that, we also provide programming inside of Rikers Island. We work with young men, 18 to 21, before they come home. And then we also run programming inside of ACS's Children's Center. We work with 13 to 18-year-old young men as well, providing them mentoring services. But since March 6th, what I noticed is the food inequities in Southeast Queens, right? The healthy food inequities. So before the pandemic hit, I went ahead and started buying groceries. Long story short, from March 6th to this Thursday, we've made 21,000 home deliveries to senior citizens in Southeast Queens. The beautiful thing about this program is that we hired all the young men from Rikers Island to run this program. So when they were released from the jail, we hired them to go in the community and go ahead and do senior deliveries and groceries and whatever have you. And so it speaks to, you know, number one, creating opportunity. We created 33 jobs through this initiative alone. We raised money. But I want to bring it back to the involvement of CBOs in our community. We are some of the lifelines between the young people and and senior citizens in our community. And I just want to see what was your plan on working with smaller CBOs who may not have the the NAACPs of the world, but are actually doing work too as well. What is your plan on that? So I'll start with there.
So the plan on I didn't catch the last one. The plan on
working with like smaller CBOs that that do the work regularly in the community. That doesn't have the operational budget of a a Boys and Girls Club or NAACP or something like that.
So the way I think about this, when I think about the overall safety and justice, is to reallocate dollars to get into the community programs, the ones that are closest. And what I want to do is I want to create, and you've looked at the plan, I want to create a quality of life scorecard to target the neighborhood investments. I want to make sure that we lift the quality for all New Yorkers, which are, some of these are underlying issues of community safety. You talked about what's taking place in the food insecurity. I call it hunger. People are hungry. You talked about buying groceries. We live in food deserts now, where the availability of fresh fruit and vegetables in many of our neighborhoods, it's just that really doesn't exist. And so I want to make certain that we create the scorecards, if you will, and I want to be held accountable for them. Scorecards that you all and other community leaders help create, and then we're going to hold ourselves accountable for them. What kind of services do we have? What kind of street lights? What kind of trash cans? What kind of sanitation pickup? What are we doing with the vacant parks and the vacant lots? Are there grocery stores nearby? What services do we have for the elderly? And how do we get the elderly the care they need and the attention they need? And the elderly problem has become so acute. We saw it play out again we're seeing it being played out today. And so nobody's really talking about the elderly. They are such an important and critical part of our social fabric and who we are. So the plan, if you go through and look at the plan in detail, it comes up with the structure where we're going to do that, beginning with these scorecards. I want to create a scorecard to see what's not there, and then working with the communities to identify what's not there, and then actively and aggressively execute on eliminating that list. That becomes a scorecard.
I thank you for that, and I just want to say I am a supporter. More importantly, I want to thank you for your transparency in regards to holding not only the officer accountable, but the commanding officer, because that actually starts to build trust inside of these communities that have been terrorized by NYPD. So I really think that is a big, because we have people who have been reported by CCRB or whatever have you, and the commanding officer is still there under their jurisdiction and doing whatever have you, and kind of leaving with free reign. So I thank you for that, because again, that's another way of building trust with the community.
It is, that's so fair. Part of what I've said, and actually what we've experienced, is that if we don't know that the people who are the serial misbehaviors, for whom we pay $200+ million a year, are ever being held accountable, we don't trust the system. And we need to make tangible, visible evidence of those people who are the misbehaviors and how we hold them accountable. And once, as you just said, once we recognize and once we witness them being held accountable, then we'll think that those who have taken the oath are there to actually uphold the oath when it comes to us. And so I get that. So that's that accountability is the first place that we begin to restore that trust and that confidence.
Okay. Definitely. Well, listen, I got my questions, and I thank you. I'm actually going to go and start actually talking to my young people, right? I think it's important to have political engagement. And on Tuesday, one of our conversations is about the mayor's race, right? I believe in teaching my young people about politics. So, we will be speaking about your plan and what does it feel like for them to hear it, right? Because I get anything that I do comes from them. It doesn't come from studies and all this other stuff. It comes from who's being affected and how it's being affected. So I look forward to talking to them about your plan, but I looked it over. I'm absolutely for it. And I really, again, the ESS is really, really big. It really stuck out to me because I've seen it play out in Southeast Queens.
Well, those young people are me, they're you, and they're the future. I am one of those young people, so are you. The people you're talking to, coming up, it was very rare that we had people to come talk to us who actually knew what was going on, who talked to us about the real. And, so many of our communities don't have a place to gather. They don't have the community centers. And so we need to create that space and give them, I guess, what they call now agency. I don't know what that actually means, but we give these young people the ability to stand on their own and to witness and experience the world the way that they should, with the amount of preparation and dignity and pride and respect that they deserve. But we got to give them the support to do that. So I welcome what you're doing, and I can get on the phone with them or sit and chat with them. Count me in. I'm all in.
Appreciate you. Definitely. Salute.
Thank you so very much, Kevin. And thank you, Ray, for including that in, again, our plan and our conversation. I remember not that long ago, although, being in the pandemic and all of the Zoom calls, the days kind of run together. But in talking with you about your focus of this plan, you talked a lot about the accountability aspect of not only holding the chain of command accountable, but holding yourself accountable as mayor. Talk a bit more about, why that was so important for you to be held accountable, that New Yorkers should trust that you will be holding your own self accountable, and that New Yorkers should hold you accountable for how public safety is executed in the city and how the NYPD is behaving in the streets of New York.
What as a 6'4", 200+ pound Black man is that this could be you any day. And many of the suites in which I have advised, and many of the experiences I've had, I'm Mr. McGuire. When I put on my hoodie in the streets, I'm every Black man. And all of us have been subject to some kind of profiling, if you will. So I know what it is like. It's not that they're no different to me, that we're all the same. We're all the same. Nobody cares where I went to school. Nobody cares what I've done. When I dress up in a suit and go to the department store, I'm one of three things. I'm men's suits, I'm where's the restroom, or I'm security. I get that. When I walk out of my outside of my house without a suit on, I'm just a Black man. And what the city is lacking is leadership and accountability. This has been a common factor that has underpinned so many of the recent increases in crime. It's a deterioration in basic services, police violence that we've talked about, unacceptable handling of last year's protest by the NYPD, kettling that we know is just inappropriate. And what I understand after so many years in business, 36 years in business, is I understand a management and instruction accountability. I had to be held accountable. I ran a business, Eljoy, for 13 years, the longest tenure in the history of business, the longest. I didn't say Black, it's just the longest.
Mm-hmm.
If I hadn't done it for 1 year, it'd be one thing, or 2 years, or 3 years, but I did it for 13 years. Mm. So every year I'm held accountable. Every quarter I'm held accountable. And so why shouldn't I be with how precious life is? Why shouldn't I be held accountable for that too? And so I'm prepared, because the inequities are visiting all New Yorkers, but especially people like me. I see hate crimes. I see religious and racial hate crimes. I don't accept that. I don't tolerate that. Somebody's got to say no at some point. Mm-hmm. It's got to stop somewhere. If I'm stepping up to do this as I have, then the buck's going to stop with me. And I'm perfectly prepared to have that, because I'm prepared to put the systems in place to rid ourselves of the systemic inequities that we've had in education, that we've had in healthcare, that we've had in economics, that we've had in the criminal justice system. Somebody has got to step up right now, because history is spiraling in the wrong direction. And I'm prepared to do that. And that's just, it begins to get outlined in my justice and safety plan. It's outlined in the greatest, most inclusive comeback economically the city's ever seen. So I'm prepared to step up. I got a track record of having performed, and I'm prepared to put that track record up against the scrutiny and do it yet again.
Well, we do have another question that came in about the plan here on how will you make the streets safe again, and focus resources on fighting crime. One aspect of the plan talks about while we want to reduce criminalization of poverty indicators, it's not like we're letting people who are actually committing crime off the hook. So in focusing the resources of the NYPD to fight gun trafficking, to track violent crimes, where do you see that in the plan on how we are going to address what is happening in the streets right now?
The straightforward answer, we gotta clean the streets up. We have to give support to those people who are those people who are mentally challenged. We have to extend the tent to make sure that they're included in it. Today, they're not in the way that they need to. We need to, for those people who are homeless, we need to find a shelter for them. For those people who the families that are homeless, and let's categorize that. You have single men, you have families, you have single women who are there because of abuse, you have single women with children. We need to make sure that we provide the services for all of that, because what happens, and we need to also be mindful of how do we prepare for what happens when the moratorium of evictions, when that lapses. How are we going to capture that? And so we need to make sure that we have the appropriate social services in place to identify the needs and to be able to capture and have a shelter for the needy. And let's remove those people who are in the streets, the homeless who are in the streets. Let's give them shelter. Remember, 18 months ago, we didn't witness this. We didn't experience this. Today we are. It comes from lack of leadership, lack of management. And so I intend to go through and at every corner, make sure that we got the right appropriate services, the right professionals to intervene. And there has to be a sense of urgency. We need to do that today. And today that's not happening. I want to make sure that the social workers and the emergency service workers all get deployed and all go and make sure that we have a place to where we can shelter our people and treat them some level of dignity. Some level means treating them with baseline dignity, which is what I will do to clean the streets up. Safety and justice means quality of life. Without safety and justice, quality of life as it is today is being threatened. And we cannot have that. In order for this city to survive and have a great future, we have to restore that.
Hmm. So another focus in the plan talked about different ways of holding people accountable who break the law, that we don't have to have an over-reliance on arrest and incarceration. Can you talk a bit more about that, what you meant about that?
Yeah, I mean, for those people who are, that should be the last response, not the first response. And what we've done, again, by criminalizing, we need to understand the source of the crime. For those serious offenders, for those, violent criminals, we need to have them locked up. But when you get to people who on one side of town commit the same crime, the same petty crime, and the fine is $250, and one person has a $250 to post bail and the other one doesn't, and they rest in Rikers for 6 months. We saw that with Kalief Browder. We saw what happened there. Mm-hmm. We need to avoid those incidents at any moment in time. At every instance, we need to avoid those incidents. So my approach would be to let's be mindful of the nature of the activity, the nature of the criminal activity, and let's address that. And for those people who are the serial actors, let's make sure that we have the appropriate response to the serial actors. Mm-hmm. And I'm not including those people who are violent criminals. We need to, that's what the police do, solve crimes and lock up violent criminals. For the others, let's find a way to address what the causes are. In large part, people are going to CVS with a bag because they got no job. They want to put food on the table. They want to feed their families. That's what this is about. So I don't excuse it at all. I acknowledge it, and I want to have a way to address it, which is what we need to do, which is sorely lacking today. People don't just wake up choosing to be criminals. They resort to behavior because they have no alternatives. We need to give people alternatives. We need to give people jobs. We need to give kids summer jobs and give them alternatives. Let's distract them. I had a summer job, kept me out of trouble. So let's think about ways. We don't have to be that creative. We just be basic and treat people with dignity the same way we want to be treated. That's going to eliminate a lot of what we're now experiencing. Remember, I got no tablet. I got no broadband. I got no rims or nets on the court. I got no community center. I'm going to get distracted.
Mhm. Well, that again is definitely what the plan addressed. And again, to read the full plan, you can go to rayformayor.com/safety. Ray, this is all, again, as you mentioned, coming from you of what you wanted to include
I
as
own
your
this.
vision.
I own this. Yes. I want this plan to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
I'm not delegating. I've never delegated this level of authority and responsibility. I don't intend to delegate it now. Somebody needs to own this. I'm stepping up to own it.
Yeah. So, the last question I will ask, it seems to be from some of the similar questions that people are posting in the comments, is regarding, in the past, year, obviously, we don't know what's causing, the rise in, shootings, or the rise in what's happening in our subways. We don't know that right now, but what we do know, as you mentioned, is that we want it to stop, right? We want people to be held accountable. We want to prevent people from engaging in or committing these violent acts. And so people are, scared. People are concerned about what happens next. When you're elected mayor, that's some time from now. But what do you think we should be doing now? Is there anything that we should be doing now to address what's happening?
Today it is. I would start with. I would start with the homeless situation. I would start with the homeless, and that can begin to alleviate some of this threat of quality of life. I would start with the homeless and intervene there dramatically. And then I would go into the 10 precincts that we know are the ones that have the highest incidence of this violence. And I'd get the community-based organizations. I'd get the violence interrupters intervene. I would make certain that I put capital. I'd invest in those. I'd open up the community centers, and I would restore community policing. So community organizations that can help out the mentally challenged, violence interrupters who can go in and intervene directly, open the community centers and community policing. And then I would also be very aggressive about the iron pipeline, the I-95 iron pipeline, which is responsible for, it's probably easier for me to get a gun in one of those 10 precincts than it is for me to get a tablet. And so we need to address this, and that's what I would do immediately.
Well, thank you, Ray, and thank you so very much for putting out this plan. And we have so much more to come out from the campaign, so much more to address. Anything else you want to say as we close out? Look, what's in my cup got me coughing.
Just get a little water, or just get a little bit more. Either one, Eljoy. I got a full cup here, so I still got a little ways to go.
I wasn't even the one doing all of the talking, and I'm doing all the coughing. I feel like this is more stronger than I thought it was.
Well, no, Eljoy, I'm talking and you drinking. I know how that works. Okay. I wouldn't say you're drinking. I would say you're just enjoying a little Friday night sip. How's that? Yeah,
a Friday night sip. Maybe that's a Friday night sip. I like that. I like that.
That's what's going up. So.
Well, you do have, in the next couple of weeks, there'll be more candidate forums via Zoom. What question are you waiting for a moderator to ask you that you're just itching to actually get asked? We'll provide the platform for you here to talk about it.
I think the one thing that I would focus on, in addition to the ones I've outlined, the one that can begin to change the dialogue is accountability. And that is to have one or two or three or however many are appropriate demonstrable evidence of accountability. Because as 100 Suits says, without the accountability, that trust is not we won't have the breakthrough. And so we have to have that. And however we can come up with that would be one of the things that if I were there today, I would make sure that we demonstrated that we're holding those people who are the serial abusers, that we'd hold them accountable. As Mother Gwen Carr said, no matter have you blue suit or blue jeans or a blue uniform, you do wrong, you ought to be held accountable. And today we don't see that, which is why that discord, that dissonance between the community and those who are entrusted to protect community, that breach is only growing wider. And the more that we see on our cameras and the more that we witness, that trust we haven't gotten there yet. So we need to invest in that. And we begin by holding people accountable. And so that the community sees that people who have abused them are being held accountable. We need the entire story. I get that. So I'm not rushing to judgment. But some of the things that we've witnessed, 8 minutes and 46 seconds, we're not rushing to judgment. It was pure cold-blooded murder. And we'll see how that trial proceeds, but they need to be held accountable.
Mm. Well, you have things coming up this weekend. We can tease. You're going to do a meet and greet with some business owners up in Harlem, and there's an opening of a Black-owned bodega in the Bronx. So you'll be in the Bronx. You'll be up in Manhattan, in Harlem, and you'll be at National Action Network tomorrow. So those of you who are in Harlem, you can probably. Well, we don't know how many, given COVID, how many people they're letting in at this time, but
everybody's good. They're really COVID strict up there. So yeah. I would say be a little careful about that, but we will be in the house.
Yes.
I would also say, Joy, that one of the things that we didn't talk about tonight, which you've referenced, is the comeback plan.
Well, look, this is your show. You go on and talk about the biggest economic inclusive comeback.
The biggest, most inclusive economic comeback in the history of this city. 500,000 jobs. Go big, go small, go forward. Go big, go small is really critical because that is 50,000. Well, that's 50,000 small businesses in the Jobs Accelerator Plan, which means we're going to pay the wages for half the wages for a year. We're going to make sure they keep their sales tax receipts for a year. We will make certain that we go in and intervene on the 45 plus fines they've gotten from 7 different agencies. We're going to go in and make certain that we see if we can't get a holiday on their FICO or their credit score so they can access credit. We want to make sure that we put a fund into the comeback bank, 50 plus million or so, that we can give out grants and equity to the small businesses that are now suffering. Mm-hmm. And we want to make certain that we do whatever is necessary to demonstrate to the small businesses that they're important. I will create a deputy mayor for small businesses to make sure that they have the authority to go across the agencies and cut the red tape for the small businesses. Small businesses are critical. They employ 50% of the New Yorkers. That's going small. Going big and going small and going big going forward, the whole plan creates 500,000 jobs, which allows us to grow our way out of this crisis of a budget, which many people don't understand. And so we need to be able to address that. Going big means creation of infrastructure or jobs that address infrastructure. We have fractured bridges that need to be repaired. They need to be painted. So we need to get the workforce in that can do that. We have sewage mains that we need to take care of. We need to build truly affordable and workforce housing today, which does not exist in any large measure. And we also need to give our kids and our families access to broadband. We got 1.5 million people today who don't have broadband. That is a disaster. We've lost a year or two for many of our kids. So that's go big, go small, and going forward means that I want to focus on small businesses, small women and brown women, minority-owned businesses, so that they can not only exist today, but thrive. And I will have a small business. I'll have a deputy mayor for MWBEs, where we get actually a true focus on this. And there are examples of other mayoral leaders who have made this a priority, and they've changed the entire economic profile of a given city or state. I want to do the same thing here.
Yeah.
So it's creation of jobs, go big, go small, go forward, also focusing on technology and workforce training. The jobs of today we're going to transition to the jobs of tomorrow. And we want to make certain that we have apprenticeship, that we have training for jobs of tomorrow, and we need a bridge. So that's where we're putting $100 million into 15,000 jobs to make sure that we retrain and serve as a bridge to get people trained, to get them apprenticeships. And also at the core of this is summer jobs. As part of my education program, which is Cradle to Career, but I'll just focus on the jobs now. Summer jobs for every New Yorker who wants a summer job between the 6th grade and the 12th grade. I had a summer job, and summer jobs are critical because that's another way that we can keep our kids out of trouble and make them feel good about themselves, where they can earn some money so they can go and either help out at home or, go buy Snickers or whatever it is they want to do, as children will do, as teenagers will do, at least that's what ours does. I want to make sure that those kids have the opportunity to go do just that.
Right.
We all have to contribute, and everybody's got to work and give people the opportunity to work. And that's in my go big, go small, go forward, and also includes the culturals. It includes the culturals, and the culturals are so important. I apologize for that call. That is my 94-year-old mother. One day, God willing, and delays is coming, she'll be 95. So.
That's awesome.
So that's who just called, and the phone keeps ringing. So I'll have to explain to her that I was on a call with L. Joy Williams, and I can't.
Don't get me in trouble with your
I'm
mama.
not going to say she was having a Friday sip. I was on the phone with a very senior advisor to the campaign, Mom, L. Joy Williams, and we had about, a couple thousand people on a Zoom call, and so that's why I couldn't pick up.
No, don't get me in trouble. On that note, I'm gonna end now, so I don't get in trouble from Ray's mama, because he had to decline her call. See, I'm done with you. I'm done with you.
Say, she goes, boy, why didn't you pick up my call? Say, seriously, I'm gonna give you L. Joy's number.
I'm done. Okay. Thank you so very much, Ray, for taking Friday night with us. We're actually going to be back next Friday. You'll take some more questions and engage with voters and volunteers and supporters. And even those of you who are sitting on the fence, if you still on the fence, that's all right. Bring more people that are sitting on the fence next Friday, and let's talk about it. Let's, come to the table, ask Ray the question, and let's see what we can do to make you make a decision. Is that right, Ray?
Yes, we're all in. If you're sitting on a fence, we're going to just kind of tip you over this way. We're good with that. Bring all fence sitters, and the folks who are on the right side of the fence now, going to bring you over. Just a little nudge. We're good with that.
Just a little nudge.
Whatever it takes. We're on the right side of history, which is where we want you to be. Okay? That's what it's all about.
All right, Ray. Well, go call your mom and don't tell her that it was me.
I can't tell. I ain't going to tell because I need to explain. I got some explaining to do. Okay?
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you very much for joining us. Ray's going to go call his mom. Hopefully he doesn't get me in trouble as well. We will be back next week with more of this one-on-one with Ray. So as you are listening and engaging with the campaign, if you have questions, bring your friends, bring your family members, tell them to jump on and have this conversation about what's going on in our city, what the future of our city looks like, and to talk with one of the people who may just be your mayor and talk about what he will do for the issue that you care about the most. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, Ray for Mayor. You can also go to rayformayor.com where you can donate, where you can sign up to volunteer, host a meet and greet, and get engaged in this campaign for our city. The primary is in June. We have some more people to convince, some more voters to talk to, and we'll do that every week here. Have a good evening. Hopefully you're having a happy hour where you are, and we'll be back next week. Bye.